story of Rhodesia, a land both fair and great. On the 11th of November, an independent state. This was much against the wishes of certain governments, whose leaders tried to break us down and make us all repent. But we're all Rhodesians and we'll fight through thick and thin. We'll keep our land a free land, stop the enemy coming in. We'll keep them north of the Zambezi till that river's running dry. And this mighty land will prosper, for Rhodesians never die.
Alright, what is up guys, and welcome back to another video. So today's video is going to be about the FN Mag 58. So this is arguably the best general purpose machine gun ever made. That's why so many different countries decided to copy it and take it into service. This thing has seen more conflict than almost any other machine gun out there, rivaled only by the PKM. Today I had the chance to come out and shoot this thing. It was my first day ever shooting full auto, so it was a very cool experience for me. And this specific type of rifle was also carried by my own father when he served in the SAP way back when. This is a very cool day to me. Let's go through the quick history on it. So in the 1960s, the free world decided that we need something like the bar and something like the MG42. So what happened was, when a bar and an MG42 loves each other very much, you get the FN Mag. So what they did is they flipped the bar around, and they also took a lot of inspiration from the MG42's loading mechanism. So that's also a very interesting piece of history. So this specific one has markings, the Rhodesian markings. So the owner did tell me that this did come out of Zimbabwe.
We say Zimbabwe now, don't we?
Do we?
That is also a very cool piece of history coming from this specific firearm itself. We did change out the other barrel. We have the suppressor from Special Air Suppressors. They actually invited me out today to come and shoot these videos and experience these firearms. And what we realized while shooting without the suppressor is it is a very dusty thing, as you'll see later in the video. And the suppressor just cancels that out immediately. At the service rifle of that time, the SADF had the R1, so they also ran with 7.62x51 NATO. So it does make it a lot easier in platoons, just changing out ammo instead of two types of ammo being carried in your platoon. When FN designed this, they did have a very forward-thinking design, because as you see, there is a gas adjuster, so you can adjust your cyclic rate as you're using this firearm. Especially, we changed out the suppressor, so you can change the cyclic rate, and with the gas blowback, it's actually a very nice tune that they put in, especially in regards to reliability. So obviously the more dust, the more gas pressure you want to get back into the firearm, so you can just up the reliability to up the pressure on the rounds feeding in. So this firearm did have a lot of influence in the right arm of the free world. Coming into South Africa, it did service in the SADF, it did service in the SAP, service in Rhodesia, and even Executive Outcomes later on used them as well when they went to Sierra Leone. So these were used in a wide variety of fields and combat operations, and they were mounted on vehicles, they were mounted in helicopters. So very cool history, very cool firearm. Right, so the only, except for the great reliability coming from the adjustable gas port, there is one pretty big downside to it, and it is that it is heavy. So today we're climbing up in the mountains and picking it up and doing a couple of stuff with it, and she's a big girl, and yeah, she does get heavy, definitely very heavy. And in a long day in the sun, I think it's not fun having to use it and carry it around. But from all of the accounts that I've heard, is that when they hit contact, that it was always worth the carrying the weight, the extra weight that the fire superiority that this firearm gave you. So that is the only downside that I know of. Future Jan here. Well, future Jan for old Jan, but still past Jan for you guys. Anyway, doesn't matter too much. So I had some time this week to think back on how flippin' amazing it was shooting the FN Mag this weekend. So we also did a couple of tests. Well, I can't really call it tests, it's more like we did a couple of different things. So the first one that we actually did was Luke was very curious to know how it sounds being shot at by a suppressed FN mag. So the range we were at was like an old military type range, and there was a dugout trench like 3 meters down at the end of the firing line. So they actually use it to do moving targets and that type of stuff. So that was a very, very cool range that we were at, with a separate pistol range on it as well. So we were shooting at about 200 meters with the FN mag, just shooting at normal steel. Luke from Special Air Suppressors, he decided that he wanted to go down and take a video of how it sounds being shot at. So that was actually a pretty cool thing as well. So there's just a manly ego-ness, that part of me that just wanted to see if I can shoot it from the shoulder and also be able to move forward while shooting it from the shoulder. So that was like my main goal for the day, and I'm so glad I actually got to do that. It would have been so embarrassing if I actually couldn't do that, but I think that was like one of the bucket list items off of my life just ticked off now. We did a segment as well doing firing from the prone and with and without the suppressor. So with the suppressor, it makes a hell of a huge difference, because I think we only shot like 6 rounds. I don't even know, it's hard to count in full auto, but we only shot a couple of rounds without the suppressor. So we just changed the barrels. It's terrible. Like, it's so dusty, everything gets caught up in your face, and you can't even see your targets anymore in front of you. Where when we threw on the suppressor, it made such a big difference for us. You can actually see the target. You can actually keep firing your weapon, so you can give a lot more suppressor fire. It makes a huge difference using a suppressor in a dusty environment, from the prone especially. And the main thing why you want suppressors on your firearms is for signature reduction. So not only does it reduce the dust kick-up, especially in Africa being a very, very dusty environment, but it also reduces the muzzle blast quite a lot, and also the muzzle flash. So especially firing at night, firing with the suppressor is always a better option. I have to say, it sounds very, very cool. It reminds me of like a Pack-a-Punch LMG from Black Ops Zombies. Obviously, with the supersonic ammo, you're still gonna have the supersonic crack, but the muzzle sound is gonna be reduced so much that it's better, especially if you're having to shoot it without ear pro.
Okay? Nelson.
Yes, there is the thing about the heat, but these guys made this suppressor to be able to sustain this heat and to be able to manage this heat. You can check it out on their website as well. They literally took this specific FN mag and dumped it on that suppressor where it's getting flaming hot, but it just kept on going. So, and in a way, it's still cleaning itself the hotter you're shooting it. So very, very cool design and initiative from these guys. I have to give it to them. So this specific FN mag that we shot on that day was probably sent down to South Africa back in the day, and South Africa sent a couple of mags through to Rhodesia to go assist in the bush war because of the arms embargo on them as well. It did its time there, came back to South Africa, and in 1979, South Africa actually converted it to be able to take disintegrating belts, because FN mags at the time before that only took non-disintegrating belts. So that's actually a very, very cool fact as well that I also just learned. We were also very lucky to have someone from the SADF there that actually carried a mag. So he gave us a little quick instruction on how they used it, how they set up the firing position, also the tactics that they use to employ the FN mag in a platoon.
If I remember correctly, one machine gun per platoon. So you have your platoon stretched out with your machine gun on the extreme right, and each man would be Alpha Bravo, Alpha Bravo, Alpha Bravo, Alpha Bravo, Alpha Bravo until the end in your line, and you'd be patrolling through the bush. And at the sight or sound of an enemy, you'd shout, "Maak gereed vir vuur en beweging." Prepare for fire and movement. And then what would happen is the Alpha would run forward while the Bravo covered. At the same time this was happening, the mag on the extreme flank would run out in a wide arc to try and intercept the enemy so that there could be a crossfire at a right angle as close as possible. So all the while that the Alpha and the Bravo are moving in fire and movement forward towards the enemy target, the light machine gun on the flank is moving in unison with the whole movement to create a system of a crossfire, which was the basic infantry principles of fire and movement, using the light machine gun and the rest of the infantry weapons.
So just on another note, all these guns are completely legally owned. Thank you so much for Special Air Suppressors for inviting me out to come and shoot with you guys. I really enjoyed it so much. It was such a great day, and I can't wait to do more of this type of thing. That's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you liked the video, and if you want to have the experience of doing this, I'll leave the contact details down in the video in the pinned comment, so you guys can also experience a full auto FN mag and have the same pleasures that I have today. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.